Now here's your host, Jason Voorhees and Aaron Savage.
Oh, yeah!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports and Metal Podcast. I am your host, Jason Voorhees, and as you can see, I don't have Aaron Savage.
I'm not Aaron.
Today. We got Phil. But, yeah, so anyway, my partner in crime, Mr. Aaron Savage, is actually in Hershey Park as we speak on a family vacation. And he just so happened to call me a few minutes ago and tell me that he got Guns N' Roses tickets. Holy shit. I'm like so super jealous right now, but I'm happy for him. He's on vacation. So anyway, I'm super excited to have Phil here filling in. And what's going on, brother?
Dude, man, I'm more upset that I'm with you and not up there watching Guns N' Roses in Hershey. I'd much rather do that, no offense, than do this show. I mean, they've been on my bucket list for ages.
Yeah, I actually only saw them once, and it was like a couple years back. It was their first, when they, came back, and I think it was 2016. So I actually had tickets to see them last year, 2020, but of course 2020 was canceled.
Right. Exactly.
And then they weren't coming back to Philly at the time, so I just got a refund instead of getting, tickets.
What wasn't it just like the anniversary of Appetite for Destruction like a week or so ago, or
it was
something like that? And I remember, I don't know if it was with you or somebody else on Twitter, I got into it, like somebody posted about the album, and I'm like, that album like started, like I was young when that album came out, but my older brother was blaring that album for years in his room, and that's the album that got me into rock and roll. That started. It was Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. That started, and obviously I branched out from there, but that was the number one album for me as a kid.
Yeah, it was actually Aaron who did that post, and I saw the discussion that you got in it, and I agree. For me, it's probably in the top. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, and it's definitely up there as one of the top albums of all time. Obviously, that's a debate for another day. But before we get into the show, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up a subject. Unfortunately, this has been happening way too many times on a daily and weekly basis. But I wanted to, pay tribute. The music world had another terrible, terrible loss this week. 3 great musicians have passed away. So, rest in peace, Dusty Hill. Obviously, Dusty Hill, the bassist, one of the longest tenured members of ZZ Top. I'm not a huge ZZ Top fan, but who doesn't know ZZ Top? I mean, they're one of the most iconic, bands that, that we've ever had. I mean, with the big beards, and actually you could play in that band.
When I used to have it longer, maybe, yeah.
But no, anyway, rest in peace, Dusty Hill. Joey Jordison, drummer of Slipknot, long time, one of the founding members of that band, and major songwriter. He also passed away. And then Mike Howe, and not a lot of people might know him, but he was the lead singer for Metal Church, who was one of the most influential bands coming up in the 80s. So we wanted to pay tribute to those 3 guys, and like I said, it's a terrible loss, and I guess it's just part of getting older. Once we get old, you just start losing people. And
but some of these guys weren't that old. And,
no,
I mean, you don't ever want, I mean, I'm not trying to say that Dusty Hill was, old and, whatever, but he was in his 70s, these guys were the guys were in their late 40s, early 50s. And, that's just too soon to get your ticket punched. I mean, you never know when it's getting punched, but it's too soon.
Yeah, it's definitely way too soon. And like I said, I didn't really watch ZZ Top, or listen to them much, but, I've always, I always remember the video for Legs. You know what I mean? Like, it's just iconic. And obviously, Dusty, rest in peace. And there's a lot of people paying tribute to him. A lot of musicians out there, on Twitter, Facebook, just paying, absolute respect to these guys. And like I said, rest in peace, guys. We'll definitely miss you. So I wanted to start tonight's show with a subject. I know we, both of us kind of, we're Philly local sports fans, but I wanted to start tonight's show off with a national sports story that, has really got me upset. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it. But, Simone Biles, obviously, I'm sure most of you all know, she had to, bow out of the Olympic competition. And, it was basically because of her mental health. And, we have people on Twitter, we have politicians, we have, people that are very well known coming out and saying disgusting, disturbing. I can't believe some of the tweets that I saw. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me how, these people just think it's okay to bash this poor girl, who has, who in itself it's hard enough for her what she's been through with the sexual assault and the rape that she went through. And, for her to, actually not be able to continue this, Olympic tournament and, say she needs to take care of her mental health, and for people to come out and come after her, it's really pissing me off.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts.
I don't even know where to start with it, because I have so many different, thoughts on you said all those different things. I want to talk about the people bashing her. I want to talk about her. I want to talk about mental health. I want to talk about, her sexual abuse and how that's I mean, there's so many different areas to go into. But first off, the people talking poorly about her, Piers Morgan, all these different people out there, disgusting. I don't understand how these people keep their jobs on TV and radio. And I keep going back to when Skip Bayless bashed Dak Prescott for admitting depression after his brother committed suicide. And they didn't even slap anything. Like, how can you say that and get away with it? It's disgusting. But you got to think of it this way. First off, mental health, it's health. It's no different than physical health. It's an injury, just like a physical injury. Okay. Depression is a real thing. And when you bash people for mental health, that's when suicides happen. When they don't feel comfortable discussing it, that's when they harm themselves. They fall into drug addictions, whatever it may be. So you really can't take this stuff lightly. And it's funny. She's the GOAT, in my opinion. She's on Mount Rushmore of Olympic U.S. athletes. I haven't figured out all four, but I would put her and Michael Phelps for sure as two of the four greatest Olympic athletes in the U.S. ever. She was part of a large group of, gymnasts that were sexually abused, raped, and whatnot. But she's the GOAT. So that means she's the face of all of this. So every interview she does, every appearance she does, every time she tries to stand up and talk more about it, she's being forced to – I'm not trying to say she needs to forget what happened, but she has no time to move on or compartmentalize what happened to her, because she's got to relive it every single day. And that's got to take a toll on a person. And then with gymnastics itself, it's such a fine line between success and hurting yourself severely. With all the flips they do and all the different things, I'm not versed enough to say the names of moves and stuff like that, but it's like, a slight little distraction is the difference from just landing it, not even making a gold medal, landing a move. and shattering your ankle or something like that. So it has to be taken seriously. And I applaud her for standing up for it and admitting her, issues and all. I just wish everyone would give her a little bit more common courtesy and good human, decency, and, help her, not make it a bigger issue.
I mean, you just nailed it. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. I guess my biggest thing is that it just, once again, it just shows how the media and the Olympic Committee, has failed when it comes to mental illness, because Absolutely. This isn't the first time with mental illness with the Olympics. And obviously social media is just complete train wreck when it comes to this. Like you said, like all these guys. I mean, we had a Texas Deputy General, Aaron Reitz. I don't know if you saw what he said.
No, I did not.
He posted a tweet of Curry Strug in the 96 Olympics who played on a hurt ankle. Mm-hmm. And this was the caption he put. Contrast this with our selfish Simone Biles. Like, really? Like, and then of course he since has deleted the tweet.
Of course.
And come out and said an apology. But like, what in God's name gives you the right to just come out and say that to somebody? Like I said, this is what causes suicides, because people are scared to admit that they have a problem. This girl, to me, is a hero for doing what she's doing. And, I think, like I said, the problem is that there's just some people that no matter what you do, they're just going to be full of hate. And it just seems like nobody had the word I like to use is tone deaf. Like, it's almost like people totally like gloss over it. Like it's not an issue. And the problem is, I personally suffer from depression. So I obviously can speak to this from my own. Hey, we both do. And I've shared my story with, many people. I actually shared my story on Twitter a couple weeks ago. Not the whole story, but mm-hmm. I mean, I had, some rough things happen. And like I said, this gives me even more strength seeing someone like her, because like you said, she's the GOAT and she's the face.
But see, my problem is, though, these big name people bashing her and saying such awesome things are going to scare people. And I'm trying to find, as you were talking, I was trying to think of a way to properly say this. And I'm not trying to be insensitive or rude in any way. We said that this could lead to suicide, severe mental issues. And I've always been, I'm not trying to say people are for suicide. I'm against suicide in the sense that I've always said it's selfish for people to commit suicide, because there's so much help out there for you to get if you're that, you're suffering that bad. But on the flip side of the equation, when somebody comes out and admits that they have problems to try to get the help, they're bashed about it. So people don't want to come out and admit their problems. So it kind of brings it all around to it. If you don't have something nice to say about this, just don't say it. Why do you have to do such keyboard warrior, tough guy comments when it's a serious, serious issue in the world today?
I mean, even today, Eagles practice, news comes out about Jalen Reagor. All of a sudden, people are just quick to listen. When it comes to people's mental health, like, dude, like we gotta give it a rest. Like, Absolutely. Listen, it's one thing to sit there and say, "Oh, Jalen Reagor stinks" or whatever, but then when you find out, like, he just lost a close relative, like, and people are just on there, like, F him, and it's just so insensitive. Like, what have we become? Like,
animals. We've become animals, basically.
It sometimes makes me not even want to go on like Twitter and any social media, because it's just, I see more hate than good. Like, and I wish more people would take a stand. I mean, I do see, like, it's good, like you and I taking a stand, but I'd like to see like people that have like could make something happen.
Exactly.
Stand up, and I don't see enough of it. I mean, Simone Biles, like, not only does she have not only is she suffering from mental illness, from what she went through, a traumatic experience, she's also a female and she's black. She's got 3 things that she's already kind of, I'm trying to think of the right word. She's already at a disadvantage in 3 areas, in people's minds for what they're coming at her. It's not right, man. It's not right.
And it's really frustrating because, again, she has given her life to this point to show off for the United States. She's represented our country for how many Olympics so well. Like I said, she is the greatest Olympic gymnast of all time. So she has literally poured her life into representing this country, and this country can't show her the support that she rightfully deserves. Or not even the support. If you don't want to support her because you disagree with it, just keep your mouth shut.
Exactly. If you have nothing nice to say, then just stay out of it. Because like you said, it does no good for a Piers Morgan to put his things on there. And then I see him just going at people. And then, people are calling him racial. He is a racist.
He's an awful person.
Just a disgusting, dude, to me, that's somebody that should just log off Twitter. Get the frig out of social media.
People keep paying him. People keep putting him on TV shows. People keep giving him everything.
It's disgusting. It really is, man. It just drives me nuts and it aggravates me. And I was like, you know what? I was thinking of topics for tonight's show, and I'm like, we have to talk about this because
that's absolutely fine.
It's at the point where it's become almost unbearable sometimes to see, what some of these people do or what they just think they could just say whatever they want and get away with it. And, there's a ton of people in this country that suffer, some type of mental disorder. And it's just sad. It really is. And it's sad. It's frustrating. I don't know. I don't even know what else to say. I think I said what I had to say. But
it's a subject people don't even want to talk about. You know what I mean? Because people aren't comfortable talking about it because they don't really know enough about it. Unless you've suffered through some form of anxiety, depression, mental health, issues in your life, you don't feel comfortable talking about it. And even people that, have suffered, whatever it may be, don't even want to talk about it necessarily. So, it's definitely something that needs more people talking about it openly and keeping the discussion going so that maybe one of these people that are so ignorant, maybe a light switch goes off if enough people bring up the topic. Maybe if we could just turn one ignorant person on it, around, maybe it makes some kind of a difference.
No, you're right. We have to talk about it, and you're right. It's a thought-provoking subject, and the only way that we'll move forward is if we talk about it.
Absolutely.
And more people talk about it. So, not to get off the subject of that, but another angle too that's disturbing about this is that that's not enough people are talking about is the fact that the Olympic Committee basically brushed this stuff under the rugs, the whole situation that she went through, the guy that's in jail, the Nasser, the doctor, and what he did was disgusting, and there was people in the Olympic Committee that basically tried to hide it. And nobody's nothing has still been done about it. And that you think that doesn't weigh on her? I mean, that's definitely the issue.
And like I said, every time she's interviewed, she probably does a dozen interviews a day. And every time she's interviewed, I am sure there's a question brought up about it. So she has to relive that thought process every single day. You never get over any tragic event in your life, whether it's, whatever it may be. But you learn to compartmentalize it. You learn to live with it. But if you have to think about it every day and bring it up every day, you have no time to let yourself mentally heal. And it's really important to be able to do that. That's good.
Good point.
I hope he has. I mean, he's right there with her I'm sure he's had issues being in that limelight for his career. I think, didn't he get not in trouble, but bashed because he came out that he smoked pot? You know what I mean? He took it for that. That's a minor thing, but people just feel it's so easy to attack these athletes and these people for any form of minor, not perfection that they do in their life.
Don checking in, and Aaron, you're right, Don. It is. I mean, and that's the whole point. Like that, some of these people don't get. When it comes to mental health, it's more important than anything, more important than the sport, and that's why I brought up Rager, because the Rager thing today came up, and I was just like, here we go again. It's like in the local area, like it just can't. I can't.
Like I said at the beginning. Mental health is no different than physical health. Mental injury is no different than a physical injury. They are the exact same thing. So
100% right. Well, why don't we go on to a little more subtle topic, the NBA draft. And the reason I'm actually glad that I have you on, because you're one of my guys that one of my go-to guys when it comes to the Sixers. Obviously Big T Will and your own Scotty's
the man.
Guys, I definitely look at those two guys. But you also, I mean, you obviously, you're multifaceted when it comes to sports. So
something like that. I guess that's the way to call it.
I guess my question to you is, I know the draft is going on right now, so it's probably they're already probably. I don't know what
the Pacers at pick 13 are on the clock right now. Cade Cunningham obviously went 1 as expected. Jalen Green, as expected, went 2 to Houston. Evan Mobley went 3. Scotty Barnes 4. Jalen Suggs was probably projected to go 3 or 4. He went 5. Josh Giddey from Australia. A lot of people are high on him. He went 6. So yeah, they're getting through it now. They're up to 13 right now.
Now, are any of those picks surprises to you? And what was your thoughts of this draft as a whole coming in?
So first, I'm going to answer the first part. I think Jalen Suggs slipping to 5 is a surprise. He probably should have gone 2 or 3. I was just on another show before this show, and a couple people were saying that Josh Giddey is going to be the surprise of the draft. So for 2 reasons, I'm not really even excited about the draft this year. Because one, at this point, I didn't think the Sixers were going to have the 28th pick. So I didn't even look at who the prospects from 20 to 30 were, because I thought the trade would have happened by now. And I really think the NBA dropped the ball by making the draft so close to the NBA Finals, because there's not enough time to process and dissect it all. Plus the Olympics are going on, NBA, USA basketball going on. There's not enough time to figure it all out. Dame Lillard, does he want to trade or not? He's over in the Olympics right now, so he's not even focused on that and all. So there was that. The other part of the equation, this draft as a whole, and some people, I know all the experts say this is a super deep draft. But I disagree. I think this is probably the worst draft since 2010 when John Wall went number 1 overall, Evan Turner number 2. There might be some really good role players in this draft. But outside of Cade Cunningham going 1 to Detroit, I don't think there's a surefire player that's going to have a successful NBA career in this draft. I think they're all good players. There's all good hope with them. And you always get that one gem that pops in 12 or 14 range, and all of a sudden is this amazing basketball player, Paul George, the Giannis, Antetokounmpo. These guys didn't go 1-2 overall. But honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of 6th and 7th guys off, or 6th man of the year guys in this group, 10th guys on your bench type guys. I don't think there's a lot of star power in this draft. But I do say Cade Cunningham, no doubt about it, clear-cut consensus, number 1 player. And I think my boy Jason Sullivan, I do my golf show with him, I know he is super excited to be able to have a Cade Cunningham go to the Detroit Pistons and start that restart in that organization.
He's a Detroit guy, right?
He lives up there in Detroit, yes.
Yeah, because I heard him saying that. I think he told you or something earlier or yesterday. If you had to say who do you think is there any like guys that could be sleepers? Like, is there anybody
do you consider somebody going 6 overall a sleeper? Because Josh Giddey, Josh Giddey. I love the European and the foreign players that are drafted early-ish in a draft in the top 15 or so, because European players, they're just prepared better for NBA because they're playing professional basketball at 15, 16 years old. You look at guys like a Luka Doncic and all, they came into the league ready to go from day one. So I really do like Josh Giddey. I think he has the potential to be, I'm not going to say he's going to come out and be a superstar right away, but he's going to contribute pretty quickly. And where'd he go? He went to, I can't even read my phone screen. He went to Oklahoma City Thunder. They have some good young talent there. He's probably going to be penciled into their starting lineup right from the get-go. So I think he could surprise people a lot, in my opinion. I also think a lot of these guys, there haven't been a lot of trades tonight. I can't even judge how they're going to do on their teams because I still think there's going to be some trades happening, and some of these guys aren't even going to report to their cities that they're drafted to because there's going to be some. I know Golden State they made their pick, Jonathan Kumunga from the Congo with their 7th pick. They were trying so hard to move that 7th pick. They don't want that 7th pick. They want somebody to step in now to help them win another title. So I see someone like him getting traded right away. So that's how I'm looking at this draft. I'm not worried about sleepers or how they're going to do because I need to wait another 2-3 weeks to see how the rest of this whole offseason shakes out. Because, again, I don't see any superstar talent, right off the bat.
Interesting. So,
which is completely against what ESPN has been saying for the last 2 or 3 weeks. But that's just my opinion.
No, and I value that because, like I said, I value your basketball opinion. What are your thoughts on? I was kind of confused. I saw that the Sixers traded for like the 53rd pick. What was that all about? Like,
I think that was all part of a plan. That's all part of another plan.
Okay.
Does
it have something to do with Ben Simmons, or
either has something to do with Ben Simmons? Like, there's still. The Sixers don't pick for another.
What are your not to change the subject, but kind of piggybacking off of that, what do you think is going to happen with Ben Simmons? Obviously.
Well, he's going to get traded. There's no doubt in my mind he gets traded.
Do you think that they get a marquee player, or do you think they have to sell short? What is at the end goal? What do you think? What do you see happening?
So, I used to say they have to get a marquee player no matter what, and I've also been saying that they've got to probably extend a trade to 3-4 teams to make all the parts work. But what I also thought then after that was, maybe there's all these teams that are offering first-round draft picks for Ben Simmons. And the fact that there's rumors like this that the Sixers are considering these picks means that maybe Portland or Washington doesn't want Ben Simmons because he doesn't fit their time. Ben Simmons is 25. He's already a multi-time All-Star. If Russell Westbrook got traded to the Lakers today, I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but it seems like it's pretty much confirmed that he's going to the Lakers. They moved Bradley Beal as well, say to the Sixers. Do they really need Ben Simmons in Washington? It means they're starting all over again there in Washington. So maybe they want more first-round draft picks. So maybe you move Ben Simmons for 3 first-round draft picks, and then you can then move those draft picks to Washington for Bradley Beal. So I think that is a possibility. Whether it's a 3-team deal worked out or 2 separate trades that happen, there is going to be something like that worked out. And again, it's just like football. I'm not making my final predictions on the Eagles' record till I see the whole package. The Sixers, I'm not going to judge the offseason till they report to camp and see what all the moves wheeling and dealing go. I don't think, though, you said sell short. You don't have to sell short in Ben Simmons. You can run it back if you have to. I don't think they will, but you can. I saw somebody say, and I know he got traded today, for next to nothing, but people were talking about like Kyle Kuzma for Ben Simmons. Now, you're not selling yourself that short. You're just not doing it.
Well, that's why I asked you, because in my opinion, I'd rather have him back than just give him away.
But so let me ask you a question. What is selling short? Give me some of the names that you've heard rumored to trade to the Sixers. Kyle Kuzma to me, that's selling short.
Yeah, I wouldn't want
CJ McCollum, some people think is selling short. I don't think is selling short if the right package is put together around him. So what's selling short to you?
Well, to me, I would want, for me personally, I want either Beal or Dame Lillard. Those are the two.
If you move Ben Simmons, you want those two, and that's it.
Yeah, even if we had to give up Simmons and a lot more, because to me, I want that third guy. I just can't live with. I saw that the rumor, like with the Toronto rumor, with getting what was his fate?
Kyle Lowry,
and then the 4th pick. That would have been a nice deal because then you could have Well, who would have been there at 4? Who would you have got?
Right. Well, see, but again, then you get Kyle Lowry in the 4th pick. You're doing that move because then you're trading that 4th pick. And I said all along, trading Ben Simmons, Daryl Morey isn't making one trade this offseason. If he trades Ben Simmons, which he will do, he's also making other moves.
Right.
Whether he trades Tobias Harris or whether he trades, someone else, he's making 2 or 3 trades, one major trade, 2 or 3. We're not talking about Seth Curry type, that turned out to be a great trade, but that was a low-level trade. We're talking about 2 or 3 major trades that are going to majorly shake up this roster. So no matter what happens, one trade is going to lead to the next trade, which is going to lead to the next trade and all that. There's rumors about Kyle Lowry, but there's also rumors that Fred VanVleet and OG and their pick for Ben Simmons. There's a lot of different trade opportunities. I think we go and trade for Kyle Lowry, but I think that's separate from the Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons goes for whether it's Dame or part of a package to get CJ McCollum and some other parts. And then I think they make another move to get Kyle Lowry in a sign and trade deal. But on my opinion, you have to sign and trade for him. Kyle Lowry's going to want 3 years. I wouldn't give a 36-year-old point guard 3 years. I don't care about the $28 million. That means nothing to me. Money means nothing to me. It's not my money they're spending. It's the years and how long you're going to be stuck with that player that worries me. So if you can get Kyle Lowry for one of your, future picks and some young guy on our team and you get him for 2 years, $60 million, it's a no-brainer. Then you can move Ben Simmons, and I was bringing it up earlier, CJ McCollum, and say Robert, you're losing defense with Ben Simmons. So you get CJ McCollum and you maybe get them to throw in Robert Covington to come back, a great wing defender. Now you're talking, you're getting rid of Ben Simmons and you're bringing in Kyle Lowry, CJ McCollum, and Robert Covington. You got a team you're starting to fill in around, Joel Embiid.
I mean, I could definitely live with that. I guess my biggest thing is you drafted Simmons so high. Everybody had such high hopes for the guy. I mean, obviously he hasn't played to the potential that we all, expected him.
He's made how many All-Star teams? He's Rookie of the Year. He's made All-Pro teams, All-Pro defensive teams.
Trust me.
I'm a big Ben supporter. I've always been. I just see the writing on the wall and know for the best thing for the team is for him to move on. I don't want to see him move on. I think he's going to go to some small market team and maybe with less pressure thrive, and I hope he does. But as long as it's not beating the Sixers in the finals, I don't really care.
Well, speaking of someone leaving their team, this week we kind of found out that the news that we were kind of waiting all offseason for, because we expected that Aaron Rodgers was going to be leaving the Green Bay Packers. Then, of course, at the 48th hour, they kind of swept in and caved into his demands. So I guess my question to you, Phil, is as we saw the tweets about the cryptic tweets between Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams about the Last Dance with the Michael Jordan tweet. So my question to you is, do you think this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' last dance? And do they win a Super Bowl this year with Green Bay? Or will it be a last collapse? And are they going to lose again? And then is he going to at the end of the year? What are your thoughts?
Will they win another Super Bowl this year? I don't know. We were discussing on my show last night, Watson and Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. Someone brought up a good point. Aaron Rodgers only won one Super Bowl in his career. It's not like he's got 3, 4, 5 rings. He's winning one Super Bowl. And I know they're tough to win and all. It just seems like the Green Bay front office is very stubborn. They drafted Aaron Rodgers to replace Brett Favre. Brett Favre wasn't done with his career. They moved on from him to get to Aaron Rodgers. They drafted Jordan Love. They might just move on from, Aaron Rodgers because of that. I just don't understand how they can get rid of him, because it's not – Aaron Rodgers came out of college with some real serious hype. Jordan Love, on the other hand, what did Jordan Love really do in college to give you the confidence to put your future of your franchise in their hands? I don't know. I think when it all comes down to it, I think Green Bay gives in to Aaron Rodgers. He's only 37, 38 years old. He still playing top-tier football, so close to making the Super Bowl last year. He's one of the 2 top teams to make the Super Bowl again. It's either them or the Bucs again. It's going to be a clear front runner between those 2 teams to make the Super Bowl this year. I think this is not the last collapse. I think the front office collapses and gives in to run it back again next year. And you're just not going to give up, because you think about it, you lose Aaron Rodgers, you're going to lose Davante Adams too. So then you're going to start all over again. So they're not going to want to lose both those players.
So it's interesting you say that, though, but from all accounts, according to the reports, but of course, then again, reports where Rodgers was leaving. So
yeah, exactly.
But reports were that he's only coming back for 1 year. But I see what you're saying. Like, at the end of the day, you believe that the marriage is going to get fixed, and that, whatever ill will there was towards him and the GM, obviously money talks. I mean, you're right.
It does. Money talks. It's kind of like, and I just thought of this, and I don't know if this is a good comparison or not. This might sound really stupid coming out, but it's like when two parents, they have a kid, but they're cheating and they're fighting and they hate each other, but they stay married for the betterment of the kids. It's basically what Aaron Rodgers and the front office may do. It's the best for the franchise. They're gonna just bicker amongst themselves, put out cryptic tweets and stuff like that, and they're just gonna hang around as long as they can, because honestly, where else is Aaron Rodgers gonna go?
Well,
I think if he doesn't stay with Green Bay, he retires early.
My thoughts. I said that if he went to the Broncos or wherever he would have went, he was not going to have as good of an opportunity as he will to win a Super Bowl with Green Bay. Because let's face it, last year, I mean, if it weren't for the bad coaching and at the end of the game, and then even Rodgers himself, he had that wide open touchdown 2 times that he could have ran in at the end of that game. I mean, Green Bay very well could have been in the Super Bowl. So let's face it, they have a great defense. They have Davante Adams. They have a good running back who's probably top 10 in the league.
I mean, he's very underrated as a running back as well. I don't think he gets enough love for what kind of – he's a great running back in my opinion.
Well, and Green Bay seems to always have like a good 1-2 punch. I know they let the other guy go, Jamal Williams, but I believe they drafted a guy who was basically his heir apparent. So Dillon, right? A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, so, he was a rookie last year. Yeah.
So to me, I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, because people could go back at my tweets. I all along knew that Rodgers at the end of the day was not going to leave. I mean, I knew it was basically, and I don't want to say it was a charade, so to speak, but I do believe that obviously there's always going to be that fine line where, it's back and forth and this one's going to threaten this. But at the end of the day, it's almost like Rodgers' hand was tied, because if he retired, if he ever did want to come back, he would still be with Green Bay. So really his only really recourse was to come back. I really truly think
Aaron Rodgers loves, he says he doesn't like the management, but he says all the nice things about he loves being there. He loves playing for that city. He loves his teammates. I really truly believe him in all that.
Oh, and I believe him too. I don't think he's a liar.
You mentioned Denver, the Eagles, there's a bunch of teams he could go to. Carolina. Those teams aren't ready to win Super Bowls right now. So unless Jeopardy calls and says, we'll give you $30 million a year to host Jeopardy for us, he's not going anywhere, outside of Green Bay. He renegotiated his deal, so it's a 1-year deal. So he could be free agent after this year. So if he retired after this year, he could go anywhere when he came back. But the flip side of the equation, where's he going to go? Unless Tom Brady retires after this year and he goes to Tampa to take over for Tom.
Well, that was the report that I heard. Like someone,
I didn't even hear that. I was just making that one up.
No, but someone did actually say that. And I don't know if it was like an Adam Schefter or somebody tweeted out Brady's going to win another one and then retire, and then Rodgers is going to go there, and it's going to be Tampa Bay is going to be like the destination for quarterbacks.
That would be kind of hilarious.
That would be kind of sick, really, if you think about it.
It's kind of funny.
But I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I kind of knew it was kind of a soap opera, and I knew that it was going to kind of have a Hollywood ending type, story. So, everybody's going to be happy, I guess, at the end of the day. I mean, Rodgers got Randall Cobb, his buddy. Apparently, they're really close. And, I was never high on Randall Cobb, but he is a veteran. So,
Randall Cobb, was he even in football last year? Honestly, I
guess it's a comfortability thing type thing.
Yeah, it's a comfortability. That doesn't help your team, bringing Randall Cobb back. It just it's just he's being brought back to appease Aaron, and that's all it is.
Pretty much. Well, speaking of appeasing somebody, so I just heard the breaking news while we're doing this show, and my question was winners and losers of the trade deadline. Well,
I know who the losers are.
It looks like the Dodgers are the winners because they just got Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. Trey Turner and Max Scherzer to the Dodgers. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, let's give him the World Series. I mean,
how many? Oh, I don't know about that. We'll think about that. I have to think about that. But
pretty much,
it just seems like the Dodgers are always buyers. Where are they getting these prospects from? Because it seems like they're buyers and they're landing big trades at trade deadlines every single freaking offseason. Well, and it I'm kind of confused at how they keep doing this.
Wasn't Gabe Kapler once one of the Dodgers? Wasn't he involved in their
before he became a Phillies skipper? He was in their player development system and all.
That's pretty insane, right? Because look at the Dodgers.
The Giants are in first place still, aren't they, in their division?
Really? Are you kidding me?
I know. It fucking breaks my heart.
I did want to, kind of run down, obviously, what other big names do you expect to move off the board? Because we had Anthony Rizzo today, went to the Yankees. You had Max Scherzer now and Trey Turner go to the Dodgers.
I've seen some things with the Mets, whether it's Javi Baez or I thought they would be in on Scherzer and Turner.
Bryant.
Yeah, Chris Bryant. It seems like the Cubs are just selling off everybody. And, I could see the Mets making a move.
I heard the Mets linked to Barrios with the Twins.
Absolutely.
Because even though everyone thinks that the Mets need a bat, I could see the Mets trying to get Barrios and then have that DeGrom, Barrios,
I can see the Mets making a move. I can also see the Padres because they were really close to getting Scherzer themselves.
They're probably
and the Padres, they're a team that should make the playoffs. I know they're in a tough division, but both wildcard teams are probably going to come out from the West there. I could just see the Padres probably overpaying for somebody because if you look at that team, it's mostly youth that's carrying that team. They could have used a Scherzer, or a Trey Turner, a veteran guy that's been in multiple playoff chases and World Series runs and all on that team. And once the Dodgers just instantly got better by making another huge trade, they may have to overpay to get somebody, but they may do it. The Yankees, I don't think they would necessarily be considered a winner. I think the Rizzo deal, and I haven't looked at the prospects, but getting Rizzo, I think, is a bigger deal than getting Gallo because Gallo is just another home run strikeout guy that they already have way too much of in their lineup. Rizzo's more of a balanced, great defensive player, a veteran. I like Rizzo on that team better as a improvement than Gallo. I've never been a fan of Joey Gallo personally.
Well,
he's having his best season ever. He's hitting 225.
Looks like the Yankees gave up pitcher Alexander Vizcaino and Kevin Alcantara. I don't know either of them. So when it comes
from the Phillies organization, I wouldn't know.
Hey, we just talked about it. When it comes to prospects, I call them suspects.
Yeah.
They're not.
Most prospects don't work out. That's why there's, how many teams are in baseball, but every team's got 5 or 6 minor league teams with 30 guys on it. There's thousands of prospects. Most of them don't work out when there's only a couple hundred spots to fill.
An under the radar type move that I saw, the A's traded for Starling Marte. That was the guy I actually wanted.
I didn't even see that. I don't know when that happened. I missed that one, but
that happened yesterday. And it was a straight up for Jesus Luzardo, who's basically the A's used to be like their number one pitching prospect, but he's kind of went by the wayside.
Yeah.
Howard. Starling Marte is a guy that I really would have loved the Phillies to get because he's controlled for a couple of years.
Absolutely.
And he would help us our immense hole in center field. That's the guy I would have went after, even if you weren't saying let's buy. Let's get one deal that could help your team maybe in the future. That would have been a guy that I would have went.
And it also would have been a smarter move for the Phillies. Then I know they were talking about Joey Gallo and some other guy and Chris Bryant, but those guys are more left field. So you go trade for a left fielder that puts them in left field. That means you got to put McCutchen in center field, and we know he can't play center field anymore. So Starling Marte would have been a really great pickup for the Phillies, even if they didn't make the playoffs this year. Because me and you both agree that the Phillies are not making the playoffs this year.
Oh, no. I mean,
not even close.
The other guy I really wanted was Byron Buxton, but reports are now that they're not moving him. So, but yeah, I would say to me, obviously, the obvious winner, I mean, sweeping in now is the Dodgers. But it's still, like I said, there's still going to be some moves.
4 o'clock tomorrow, or is today Thursday? Yeah, so tomorrow, 4 o'clock, tomorrow's the deadline.
Tomorrow, 4 o'clock. I mean, I definitely expect Kimbrel to move. I mean, I know they were saying that the Phillies were one of the favorites, but I agree. I think now that the Padres missed out on Scherzer, they're going to be pissed off. And I could actually see the Padres being the ones that get, like you said, Berrios, and then go and get Kimbrel. Because the Padres, I think the Padres are, they have the lineup. They need the pitching. So, to me, that would be a point
for the Phillies to go after Kimbrel at this point.
No,
I mean, what is Kimbrel going to do? You're still going to be losing a lot of games going into the 8th, 9th inning. You still got holes in the starting rotation nonstop. There's no point in going out and spending and giving away your 1 or 2 C+ prospects for a guy that's maybe going to help you win 1 more game this year, 2 more games. He's not the difference. Unless you're going to go out and go get 2 or 3 starting pitchers, getting Kimbrel is pretty useless in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely expect the Mets to make a move or 2 here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually kind of shocked that they haven't already, because I think the Mets, like I said, to me, the Mets are going to win the NL East. I don't care what anybody in the Philly market says. The Mets, at the end of the day, have the best pitching in the league. Obviously DeGrom's been hurt, but he'll be back, and we've seen what he does. I mean, he's dominant. And to me, the biggest X factor for the Mets is the fact that their lineup has pretty much been more inept or just as inept as the Phillies pitching. Mm-hmm. So I don't expect, when it comes to bats, it's obviously a 162 game season. So over a long haul, I expect the Mets bats to start heating up. And you've already seen it with Pete Alonso. He hit like 8 bombs in like 10 days. So he's red hot. I mean, that's a guy that only a couple of years ago hit 53 home runs.
Absolutely.
And so the Mets lineup will come to life. So once their bats come to life, it's going to be lights out for the Phillies. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I've said it before. You've said it before. I just don't see no reason for the Phillies to make moves. But on the Mets subject, is it Cohen, their new owner? I mean, he's kind of talk the talk like John Middleton did with the stupid money thing. But I don't think he wants to be embarrassed and not follow through with the spending of the money and putting a winning product out there. So I see them making a move. I just don't know what move that's left is going to be worth what they're going to have to give up to get them. So I think sometimes teams spend way too much time reaching for trades at the deadline. They have to get a trade done. So they pay too much for them. And then it doesn't work out because only one team can win the World Series. And then the next year they're back at the same point and they don't have the prospects to trade. So I don't think the Mets need to make as much of a trade because they're going to win the division even without making a trade. So making a move is if you think you can beat the Dodgers or the Giants or the Padres in the playoffs, that's why you make a move. Excuse me.
Yeah, very good points. I mean, I totally agree with everything you said. I think the American League, obviously you have, everybody kind of doing the same thing. Like I knew the Yankees were going to make moves because the Yankees have been they've been bad this year. I mean, I've seen, and their fans, we are. I mean, their fans, they have high standards because they're used to the Yankees buying.
Absolutely.
So I think they were even themselves kind of like getting pissed off. And I almost think that that's kind of why the Yankees made the move because I think they wanted to appease the fans more so than they thought that they could contend. Because I don't think the Yankees are going to contend even with these moves. I think there's other teams that are just so more superior, especially when it comes to pitching. I mean, the Yankees have Garrett Cole, but other than Garrett Cole, they don't have anybody.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, like I said, I guess it's too hard to say winners or losers yet, but
yeah,
I guess we'll know at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll know. I actually see the Phillies not making a single move. Period. Whether it's a buy move or a sell move. I think they just pretty much continue to roll out what they got.
which is fine with me because I told you how I feel, and everybody knows how.
If they make a move, it's going to be like a Jason Vargas or Drew Smiley type move from the previous year. Moves that are just basically lateral moves. I mean, can I ask you a question before we move on? You don't even have to go into it detailed. How much of a big blunder was that Tyler Anderson botch? What does that say about the organization that you had a trade on the table, but your minor league system is so inept, the guys you traded, they didn't want after they looked at it, they're like, oh, hold on, let's get the little manila folder. Nah, I don't want them anymore. Never mind.
I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't know. I think it's so Philly.
It's so Philly. It's a great way to put it. It is.
It's so Philly, man. Well, on that note, since this is a sports and metal show,
absolutely,
and I know that you love music, Phil, and I'm glad you came on. So I kind of wanted to bring up a question that I've been thinking about, and I kind of asked a couple of our guests already, but I'm kind of interested to see your answers on this one. So basically, I want to know who your Mount Rushmore in music. It doesn't have to be heavy metal per se.
Right.
Your Mount Rushmore in music.
Well, you're going to put all music on the table.
Well, we're putting
to change it even more.
Well, let's keep it to the metal or the rock.
Oh, yeah. Oh. So it doesn't have to be so I started thinking about it. I was trying to come up with a drummer and a guitarist, like one from each thing to make my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Okay.
So
I'm going to go drummer first, okay? Because I think he's a very underrated drummer. He's not a heavy metal guy. He's a rock, an alternative rock. I don't even know what you consider them. From the Dave Matthews Band, Carter Buford. I think he's probably I know Rolling Stones did a list like a few years ago in an article, and he was ranked the number 10 drummer of all time in that list. And I was reading it, and I remember reading it. And when I was in college and in high school, Dave Matthews, that was like my jam. I would jam out to them all the time. Dave Matthews himself was the least. I don't know how much of a Dave Matthews fan you were or are or ever were, but Dave Matthews from the original incarnation of the lineup or the band, which has changed. Unfortunately, Leroy Moore passed away. And, the violinist, why am I forgetting his name, had some assault allegations, so he was kicked out of the band. So the original incarnation, though, the 4 members of the band were more talented than Dave Matthews, the lead singer and drummer of the band, which is crazy to think. I mean, Stefan Lassard, their bassist, was really good. Leroy Moore, one of the most amazing jazz rock saxophone players out there of all time, till he, again, unfortunately passed away. And why can't I think of Boyd Tinsley was their electric violinist in the band. Amazing. I never heard of an electric violinist before him. But Carter Buford, the greatest drummer, in my opinion, in my personal favorites in all of all time. So that's number one. I don't know. Do you know Dave Matthews music enough to know that?
You know what? I'm really not a huge Dave Matthews guy. It's not like
are you commenting on your own show?
Oh man,
dude, you can't even just say you got to throw it up there like that. Or is that Aaron checking in?
That's Aaron. That's not me. That's Aaron.
I was just trying to give you a hard time. I figured it was Aaron.
Yeah, that's Aaron checking in from Hershey.
Yeah. No, I probably saw in high school and college. I probably saw Dave Matthews like 15 times in concert because that was my stuff in college. It's good chill out music and stuff like that. But Dave Matthews himself is not that overly talented. He screeches when he sings. He's not a great guitarist. He is what he is. But they've made a great living, and they've sold out venues for 25, 30 years now. So they're obviously in certain circles, a great band. But Carter Buford, hands down, drumming is amazing.
No, and you know what? And this is what I will do. I will go and check them out because I mean, obviously, like I said, my style. I do. Told you too. But, I thought, hey, this is your question. So I wanted to know your –
So Mount Rushmore, it's kind of hard to say because frontman, there's so many different names. I'm just going to write down – I was trying to think of who I was going to put as a frontman on my Mount Rushmore, and I wrote down all different names. I'm trying to figure this one out. I wrote down Freddie Mercury, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Steven Tyler, David Lee Roth, Bruce Springsteen, Dave Grohl, Joey Ramone. I wrote down all these names, and they're all different types of rock music and all. And I can't really pick one. But I'm like, they're not even my favorite band. But Freddie Mercury was an amazing amazing. Like Queen's music, like I know their hits, and I saw their movie and all that. I just think what he did for music in general and how he helped transform it, I kind of feel like I got to put him on the list as the front man, but you could convince me otherwise if you wanted to. But I probably have to put him on as my front man. No,
I mean, honestly, like Aaron's more of the Queen guy than me, but I respect Queen. I love Queen. Yeah. But I'm just not. I don't really listen to them enough to know and probably appreciate how good they are. I'm surprised Aaron's not checking in on this one.
So this is with sports. This is with music. This is with everything. I don't necessarily think Queen's the greatest rock band of all time. They might not even make my top 5, but I respect and appreciate what certain like I hate the Beatles. I think the Beatles are the most overrated band ever. I can't say them, but I appreciate what they did for music, and I appreciate what they mean to the history of music and the greatness that they were. So I say it again with sports. Like I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but I get to live during the greatest quarterback's era and see him play every single Sunday. So I appreciate that I get to do that. You know what I mean? Same thing with music. No,
that's solid.
Freddie Mercury meant a lot to music, and I think I kind of feel like he's right there as one of the best. Brian May.
Every guy you mentioned on that list, on the list before you actually picked him, is up there. But yeah, Aaron, I told you Aaron would be checking in.
So guitarists. I was thinking of guitarists.
So he does. He agrees with you.
Yeah, no. Freddie is the greatest front. I mean, again, like I said, I might not be the biggest Queen fan, but I have to say he's probably the best of all time because of what he did for music. So I wrote down I wrote down for guitar. I wrote a couple other names down. I wrote down Prince. I wrote down Santana, B.B. King, Jimi Hendrix, Page, Clapton. I wrote down all these names. And again, for some reason, drummer, it was just instant, easy for me. Carter Beauford. These other categories are harder for me to pick because I love so much music. So I always want to see B.B. King and Eric Clapton in concert together. I know they used to tour together. It was like my favorite live CD when they put out a live CD of the two of them just going, kind of like how Billy Joel and Elton John did their face-to-face tours all the time. There was a B.B. King, Eric Clapton, like face-to-face, like guitar strum off tour that they did. That was like one of my favorite CDs I ever had. So I kind of keep leaning to them. But then again, if I'm going to pick Freddie Mercury, do I have to pick Prince? Because again, I'm not a Prince fan, but again, the respect I have to throw to him for what he meant to music again. So again, I'm stuck on this one. I really want to go B.B. King or Eric Clapton, but I kind of feel like I have to go Prince. I don't know.
Why don't you go all three?
I'd go all three. Then I wouldn't be Mount Rushmore. Can I have 20 names on my Mount Rushmore?
Phil, it's your show. You can do
whatever. It's your show. So I'm going to put 2 more names on my Mount Rushmore. You can put them in whatever category, drummer, frontman, whatever you want to put on. Dave Grohl. I hate the Foo Fighters, but I respect the hell out of Dave Grohl. And I mean, he's literally, he helps so many other bands out. He's always there for everybody. He was a great drummer, turned great frontman. He writes so many different songs. He's basically music. He lives and breathes music. I respect Dave Grohl so much for what he did. And I had to double check because he's not a rock and rollist, but he is in the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I double checked to make sure he was in the Hall of Fame before I mentioned his name. My favorite songwriter of all time is Smokey Robinson. I don't know if people realize this. If you Google search him, he is up there in the top 3 of the most #1 hit written. Like, he didn't sing all the songs, but he wrote more #1 songs than almost anybody in the history of music. He wrote over 1,000 songs, period, for other musicians to sing. I love Smokey Robinson. I'm a big, Motown fan. I love Motown. I think he would be, if I had to say my favorite 5 just musical acts of all time or favorite musical performers of all time, he's in my top 5. So I have to put him on my Mount Rushmore for his writing aspect of what he did. And if you read the lyrics of some of his songs that he wrote, every single one of them will either pull a tear out of you, pump you up, fire. Every song will do something emotionally to you. So I'm a huge Smokey Robinson guy.
I love it. I love it, man. You ran outside of the box.
Back to my tears from Smokey Robinson. It pulls at my heartstrings every time.
It's all good, man. I love the list.
I wrote down Flea as well. I know you're a big Red Hot Chili Pepper fan. Flea, he might be my favorite bassist of all time. I have to throw that out there too.
It's okay. I like it. I'm surprised Aaron's not jumping in here though.
I'd love to hear what he thinks. I want people. I know this is a metal rock and roll show, but I really want metal people and rock and roll people to look at Smokey Robinson's library and not just the ones he wrote or performed. The ones he wrote as well. I mean, the guy's one of the greatest writers. I know he's from the 60s mostly and 70s when he was writing all his number one hits, but the guy has written so much great music. It just, it's amazing to watch.
Dude, I love it, man. I love the list. It's very diverse. You know what I mean?
I'm a diverse. Hey, dude, you want to know what I was listening to on the ride home tonight? Jimmy Buffett's Buffett Buffet, hour-long straight of Jimmy Buffett. I'm a parrot head as well. I listen to the Kenny Chesney channel. I got hip hop channels on my radio station. I listen to it all. I'll get into a deep debate whether it's Tupac or Biggie. If you want to go East Coast, West Coast, I can get into that debate as well. I love music and I'll do it all. So,
well, listen, man, I'm so happy that you came on the show. It's been a blast, brother.
I love it.
I mean, I love having you on. Obviously, hopefully we could do it again soon.
Absolutely. I love having you on my shows. I love working with you. To anybody watching, this guy right here, Jason's a man. He doesn't get enough credit for what he's in a short period of time, what he's been able to do. So,
I appreciate
hats off to you. I don't have my hat on. Let me put my hat on. Hat off to you there, bro. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, obviously. Real quick, before we end the show, why don't you tell everybody what you've been doing and where they can find you? And I did put it on there as well.
Yeah. Obviously, I left my previous network about a month ago. I've joined up with my boy Scotty and Dylan and JD and Gint and all the other crew there at DSM Media. DSM stands for Do Something Major. The great thing about DSM Media, we're all in the same singular focus of just putting out great content all the time. We've got 8 shows a week. I do 2 shows right now. I do my Fairway to Heaven fantasy golf show every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Me and Jason, we got a great guest lined up this upcoming week. Wednesday, I do my show Trending for 4 Quarters. It's mostly football, but we talk basketball and baseball and stuff like that as well. And of course, I'll be doing my post-game live shows as soon as the Eagles season starts back up this upcoming week. But you got to follow DSM. Follow me. Everybody already follows me, I hope. You got to. I like to preach one thing, and I know Jason's the same way. You'll never get turned away from a conversation. As long as you're friendly and not offensive in any way, I will debate you and discuss with you. And I feel engagement is something that Twitter needs more of. People that will engage each other in thoughtful conversation. And that's what I try to do.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I always say, I disagree with a lot of people, but
I disagree with you sometimes,
We've disagreed a lot, but in a nice way, and we're never disrespectful. And listen, that's what makes it fun, having debates. Absolutely. And that's what's great about these shows, because everybody has different opinions and everybody brings a different skill set to the table when it comes to podcasting.
Absolutely.
And let's face it, we have a ton of local talent, man, in our area.
Tons.
There is a ton of people that, even tons that aren't getting enough recognition, that
Absolutely.
aren't, even being, seen or heard. So I like to, that's why you'll always see me trying to support everybody on there, because
people
feel
need to support you more, because you support everybody else. Now they need to start supporting you. I think I put that out there a few times. Let's support Jason a little bit more here, everybody.
That's good to hear, man. And like I said, we're missing Aaron, but he's out there in spirit. He just checked.
Aaron's getting the golden ticket with that. Oh. Next thing you're going to know, he hasn't told you, but he's got backstage passes too.
Oh, he'll be texting me a picture with him in Slash in the backstage, and then I'm going to really lose my shit.
This is going to be the breakup of sports and metal, because this is going to end the two of your friendship and all.
But anyway, well, like I said, folks, thank you for checking in. Make sure you check us out at Sports and Metal. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We got all 4, and it's at Sports and Metal. Subscribe to our stuff, and it's been a blast, Phil. And as we
I normally go with whatever, but we're going to go with the rock and roll thing.
Yeah, well, we always end the show with Aaron will say rock on and I say peace out. So why don't you take us out, Phil?
Rock on.
Peace out.
And that's our show. Tune in next time for more Sports and Metal with Jason Voorhees and Aaron Savage. Ooh, yeah. Got something to say? Hit us up at sportsandmetal0423 at yahoo.com or